Hello everyone, it's me, Clayton. I just finished watching ReZero The Frozen Bond, starring Rie Takahashi and Yumi Uchiyama. So, as many of us anime fans continue to be as patient as possible as we wait for the full release of ReZero Season 2, which has been delayed once again due to the global pandemic, thankfully Crunchyroll has given us the essentially feature-length long OVA of ReZero The Frozen Bond, which is a prequel story that tells us about Emilia's first meeting with Puck and some general notes about her backstory, including her encounter with another spirit named Megakula. And without Subaru, it turns out the story is still rather interesting even without our isekai protagonist, as it definitely feels more like a fantasy prologue story in the best ways, with some incredible emotional moments, some standout performances from Takahashi and Uchiyama, and even some great action scenes to go along with it. So the story is that we head to Emilia's past, where we see even back then she was constantly compared to the Witch of Envy known as Satella, and as such she was prejudiced by all the humans that surrounded the frozen forest that she calls home. However, she also meets a spirit named Puck, who quickly becomes fond of the young girl and becomes a father figure to her. Puck happens to help her out when she's overwhelmed with a ton of criminals who want to sell her off to people who want to have their way with her. He helps her with magical beasts, all that sort of stuff, until the leader of a bunch of criminals happens to be overtaken by a spirit and tries to get his revenge, while Emilia has to constantly deal with the prejudices of her life and has to deal with the thought that she was only born to bring pain and suffering upon all. So, if you're a big ReZero fan, you're definitely going to like this movie, considering that Emilia is portrayed about as well as she is in the original series. Takahashi's voice performance is exceptional and gets across her tragedy, but also her inner purity and kindness that makes her such a lovable character. And Uchiyama does a great job as Puck, too, balancing comic relief and powerful energy in her own right into Puck, making him an absolutely lovable character. On top of that, without Subaru being around, which requires the explanation of the magical elements of the series, the pace is generally a bit faster here than it was in the original ReZero series, and it allows for a lot more spiritual action scenes and some more brutal violence without it veering into constant Subaru death territory that the original series had it based on. Because when you take away a lot of the gore-loaded deaths and the constant suffering of our main character, ReZero still has a really interesting fantasy world that I love learning about. And you do get to learn a bit about not only the world, but also the lives of Emilia and Puck here. However, the criminals and even a mediator spirit aren't really the main antagonists in this movie to me, even if they are the most direct threats. To me, the big threat of the series is still Satella herself. You still never see her, but her presence looms throughout the entire series, especially when Emilia is involved, due to her looking very much like her. And even in this movie, you can definitely feel the presence of Satella as an unseen evil, and even a bit of as a plotter, even though you never see her face. And I hope when Season 2 rolls around, we get to see more of Satella, we get to learn more about her, and I hope we get to learn more of that mystery. But as far as a prequel story goes, ReZero The Frozen Bond happens to do a great job establishing the bond between Puck and Emilia, while delivering a solid fantasy adventure along with it. And that's why I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. See you next time.